Konbanwa, Hachiji desu, Hachiji desu. Watashi wa Spike to iimasu. O genki desu ka?
I don't know what the fuck you
Me
just said. I
llamo
understood what you
Amanda.
Donde es biblioteca? I had to explain why that is the joke of what Americans say in Spanish to my buddy Joe, who grew
Mm-hmm.
up in Mexico.
The
When I
standard
was
ass
no,
high
that
school.
because
Yeah.
that's what they teach you in high school
Yeah.
Spanish here in America.
Yeah. For the record, I just said, good evening. It's 8 o'clock. I'm Spike. How are you?
All right, I'm not there yet. I'm still learning the alphabet. Like I started
Mm.
2 days ago.
Spike vive en la bas.
Oh, Kaito, genki desu.
Spike vive en la basura.
Viva la basura. Sí, 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 mucho.
I said actual words at you.
Yeah, you did. And I said
Yeah.
actual words at you.
Okay.
But yeah, in case you folks couldn't tell, before we signed on, and this has nothing to do with comics, so it's going to be like a standard issue fucking geek show cat podcast here.
Spike.
Before we signed on, we just started casually discussing learning foreign languages. And if you follow me on Twitter, you're probably aware since the beginning of the year, so for about 2.5 months, I have been using a combination of things in an attempt to teach myself Japanese because at some point I decided I didn't want to die monolingual because that shit's fucking embarrassing. And I just didn't want to. And you know what? If you have no interest in learning a second language and you're all like, I was lucky enough to roll that natural 20 where I was born, an English speaker and I was born into the lingua franca, which is hilariously English, not French. I'm going to take full advantage of that. That's cool. That's fine. But this is something I've wanted for a long time. And since the beginning of this year, I have been using, Duolingo, Robokana, Influent, and WaniKani, those four different programs. And I use them for about an hour a day in an attempt to teach myself Japanese. And I have reached a point now where, and Japanese is basically, I know English is like a stupid bullshit language,
It
but
is.
Japanese is an equally stupid bullshit language. It's like this insane idiot language, and I'll go into details in a second. But I have made progress that I'm genuinely proud of. And when I say,
um,
oh, go for it.
I was gonna say, so far, Japanese makes more sense than English to me. As far as the rules that I have been taught, but I haven't gotten to kanji yet. So,
Oh, the kanji is an absolute ass kicker, but it's incredibly necessary.
I mean, there's a reason why they will, like, even in like Japanese works, they will have their own translation of the kanji.
Oh,
Like, this
absolutely.
is the intended meaning if you
Yeah.
are under a certain reading level.
For folks who aren't aware of when I say idiot bullshit language when I talk about Japanese, imagine you live on an island somewhere in the Pacific
Mm-hmm.
and you see this other culture that's like a little off to the side and you're super impressed by that culture. And you decide you're just basically going to copy that culture's homework assignment and turn it in as yours. And that's kind of like the origin of Japan's language insanity, which is they were very impressed by Chinese culture. And so they basically plagiarized a bunch of Chinese characters and decided to use that as their writing system. And the descendants of that
All of this
plagiarism,
is factually correct.
yeah, and the
No,
descendants of
it's
that
not.
plagiarism, it literally is though. But the plagiarism,
It's
it's
more nuanced than that, but yes.
it's more nuanced and happened like a bajillion years ago. But the descendants of the plagiarism of Chinese characters, as I described it, is now kanji. And Japan has three alphabets, if we're being really generalized, and like you have to imagine me air quoting alphabets, three alphabets. And as you learn, you basically get hints by which alphabet is used, what the word is. And there's an alphabet called katakana, which is basically used for things like sound effects and foreign words. So, for example, headphones in Japan is headphono, and computer and ragu for rug and shatsu for shirts, that is written in katakana because these are foreign words that have been adopted into the Japanese language. And that
But not always.
not always. That can lull you into a false sense of security because you're like, oh, okay, well, as long as I learn katakana, then I'll be able to just know a bunch of things. No, you're wrong. You're fucking wrong. Then there's hiragana, which is the phonetic.
Spike, I'm going to put my hands on your shoulders.
Yeah,
I don't want to learn Japanese today.
that's fine. I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere.
Okay.
Hiragana is used for like native Japanese words. So words that are like, conceived in Japan that either predate or postdate the importation of Chinese characters, but are Japanese words. Like kabe is Japanese for wall, for example, and denki is Japanese for light. And those would be written.
Inu is Japanese for dog, and neko is Japanese for cat.
Exactly. And I will actually be bringing that up later too. And then kanji are just literally characters that are pictographic and are made up. A lot of the kanji are made up of other kanji, and you need to memorize about 1,000 of them to have sort of basic fluency in Japanese. And there's kind of no way around it. You just kind of need to memorize those 1,000 kanji.
And the thing is also like, there's a bit in Chainsaw Man where someone tells the main character to go to hell repeatedly, and he responds by telling them to go to hell. And a thing that is lost in translation is because the person telling Denji to go to hell is better educated. Her go to hell is in kanji, and his go to hell is in hiragana.
Yeah, that's a subtle joke that you would miss if you were kind of like aware of certain elements. And like other things that I occasionally see translator trying to like work their way through that they don't manage is in Japan, hierarchy and manners are imperative, and as a result there are multiple ways to say things like I. There's a male way to say I. There's a female way to say I. There's a cute way to say I. There is an extremely rude way to say I. And that's kind of one of the first things people catch on to when they're like watching anime a lot of the times. Like, the rude.
Well, that's why they call certain character archetypes by the type of first person pronoun. What is that?
Yeah, that's first person.
Okay. Yeah. I know words. Hooray!
Congratulations. And it's just it's like there's so much fucking nuance and I get. All right, so I'm old. I remember back when kind of the major way to watch anime was fan subs.
And you had to buy them on the internet, and they were like a VHS someone made in their garage.
And it was 8th generation, and there was that line of static at the bottom or whatever. But
you got that anyway.
Like it was fucking gold.
You could get a good VHS copy and still get some bullshit on it. VHS is just like that.
But like I remember those fucking $30 in the 90s, mind you. $30 VHS.
Oh, more than that.
That were bootlegged at like fucking.
You got them for $30. You got a deal.
Oh, I never bought them.
Okay, they were depending on the
they
series.
Were more like $50 each, Spike.
Yeah, and now keep in mind, I've mentioned this before, but I didn't pay for them because I had a hookup. I had a friend who had a cousin who was stationed in Japan, and so he would just record whatever was on TV and animate it, including the cartoons, and ship them back. So it's not like I paid for any of this. So I'm just saying that, it was out there for that amount. But yeah, it's fucking wild. Just Japanese is a really fascinating language, and a thing that I'm really appreciating, even if I stopped today and didn't learn another word, I kind of have this feel now for future projects and endeavors, how a person with sort of a passing understanding of a language might try to communicate with a person who speaks it as a native speaker. And I'm like super excited to get a chance to depict that on the page.
So, this is tangential. That was a thing that I saw criticized, that in American comics, whenever there's a foreigner, they would always use their native language to say things like yes, or like words that an English speaker would understand.
Yeah.
When it's like, no, they would slip back into German or French or whatever they're supposed to be their native language
For
when
complicated.
they
Yeah.
need to say something like nuclear physics.
Yeah.
I mean, that depends on the
because-
company you're in, because I know when I've been around, for example, like Spanish speakers and stuff, because most Americans do know what C means, they'll still just say C. Like, yeah, they'll say yes, but they'll still say C because, like, they know that everyone in the building knows what that means. So it's less a slipping back into it and like, it's fine. We all know what this means.
Yeah.
It just depends on the situation.
But I am part of the reason I like talking about this shit is, number one, it's a new thing I'm learning and it's fun. Excuse me. And number two, Kel and Amanda and I got into a conversation behind the scenes just before we went live.
We shit talked everyone here, everyone in the audience.
All of you.
All
of
15 of you. We have documents. We have files.
Yeah. But yeah, one of the things that I experience kind of without fail every single time, because this is not my first time trying to learn Japanese. This is based, honestly, straight up, swear to God. This is the time it's stuck the longest, and it's kind of paying dividends, and I'm proud of that. But every time I kind of tell people I'm doing something, and I tell them how I'm doing it, like I just explained which programs I'm using and my methodology, I will inevitably get a, yeah, that doesn't work. My friend says that doesn't work. That doesn't work. That won't actually teach you anything. That doesn't work. And I, to be honest, I'm fucking sick and wish everyone would fucking shut the fuck up. Like,
Yeah, it's what people say is like that doesn't
Yeah.
help you get fluent, but no program helps you get fluent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like speaking to other Japanese speakers is what helps you get fluent.
yeah, like
Um,
we have a mutual friend who is fluent in Japanese to the point where it is their job. And they go to Japanese conversation clubs to talk to other people in Japanese because that's the ideal way to get conversationally proficient.
Yeah, I've been
I told Spike about I looked up Duolingo versus Rosetta Stone
Mhm.
and found a review where the guy just fucking hates Duolingo.
Yeah.
And he does make the point that like it does help you like stick with it. Like he like despite his seething hatred for it, he does list the pros fairly well in Duolingo.
Yeah.
But he did have a valid reason for hating Duolingo that isn't the usual, oh, it doesn't work.
Mhm.
Basically he's like, Duolingo is not the product. You are. What you are doing by using Duolingo is helping train computers on how to translate Japanese. So that way they don't have to pay translators in the future.
Ooh, someone's got a chip on their shoulder.
Yes, but that is true. That is what they're doing, and that is the whole point of those like when they ask you, "Are you not a robot?"
Oh, the
pick
captchas.
things. Yeah, those are also to train AI
Yeah.
to recognize. There's a reason why they're all street signs and buses and crosswalks.
Well, not just those. It's also it's not just about training them. It's also about like like. Well, I guess that is part of training because they already know, like the AIs and stuff or the detectors. I hate calling them AIs. I really do. It pisses
It's
me
really,
off.
you know,
It makes
it's
no
not
sense. It's just recognition software, basically.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's like they already know that. They're just trying to reinforce it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And here's the thing. It's like whenever I hear complaints like that, number one, I don't know the validity of that at all. It could be true. It could be not true. I literally don't know. But number two, it's like, it's the same sort of thing that went down to my mind. I club it in the same category as when Notch, the guy who sold Minecraft to Microsoft and became an instant billionaire, when
bought all
he
that candy.
bought all that candy that he didn't have any friends to eat with, so it immediately went rotten. Haha. But
It didn't immediately go rotten. It
It took a
slowly went
while.
rotten over
Yeah.
time because
we
he
all had
continued to have
jelly
no friends.
beans. Hi Jay Brooks. Hi. Oh, hi Ned Badger. Hi everyone. Hi Kristen. Hi
Badger's
everybody.
here.
Hi,
No, beat it.
Johnson. Hi everyone.
Oh
I
wait,
never
that
said
reminds
hi.
me. Oh
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
Oh
but
shit, that reminds me.
what?
I can't do it.
You can't what?
No, don't pay attention to me.
Okay. When he was being incredibly shitty on Twitter like several internet lifetimes ago, and people were like, "You should boycott Minecraft because of this." And it's just like, I wanted to take people by the hand and lead them to a chair and sit them down and put my hands on their shoulders and be like, you don't know what a fucking boycott is for. I'm genuinely trying to be serious right now. You don't know what a boycott is for. If you personally no longer enjoy Minecraft because Notch is an idiot and that leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and therefore you have decided to stop playing it because, again, you personally can no longer enjoy it, that is a valid decision and you have every right to make it. A boycott has a goal. What is the goal of boycotting a program you have already bought, that the asshole has already sold, and that he doesn't care about anymore? What is it you hope to achieve? Because Microsoft can't make Notch do anything. You know, it's like he has nothing to do with Minecraft anymore. So I want you to explain to me what you want to achieve, because you don't understand what a boycott is for.
Yeah.
But anyway,
My
Yeah, it's
heart
just-
is breaking.
oh,
The soundboard is not available in the Iron Circus Discord.
oh, I'm sorry. What sounds did you want to play?
Farts.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna cry.
I'm sorry.
How
But
could this happen to me?
you gotta do tech stuff before we go live.
No, this wouldn't matter. It's like not. It's only available. It's a beta feature, so it's only available in certain servers. We don't have it in this one, but I have it in others. I can't play farts on command.
I'm sorry.
I mean, not in a way that it doesn't require lots of setup. Wah.
I'm sorry.
I've been researching like this whole time you've been talking. How do I get it to work?
But yeah, it's just, that's what that feels like. It's like, oh, Duolingo is algorithmically training AI to take over translation jobs, and if they don't do it, Google Translate will, and if they don't do it, other programs will. And it's just, this is kind of a thing we're going to have to confront as a society. It's not a thing a boycott of Duolingo will fix in any way.
Yeah, regulations
He
would
wasn't
fix that.
saying to boycott it. He was just saying that he hates it.
I think
like-
Spike just went off on a tangent. That's all.
Yeah.
I went off on a it's just a thing that bugs me a lot, where basically it's kind of on that same level as people who try to shame other people for eating meat because it's bad for the environment. And it's like, okay, I see where you're coming from, but this is not a matter of individual responsibility. This is a matter of society-wide address through legislation. You're not going to fix this by you personally not having burgers anymore.
I mean, it depends. If it's a small enough burger business. I mean, there is scale involved. If it's a small enough business, you absolutely can. You just got to choose
Okay,
your
but-
battles.
Okay, you have to choose your battles is kind of where I'm coming from
Yeah.
too, though. It's like, if you have a family of
That's
four,
why
you all
there are
decide to
people on social media platforms. It is 100% okay to bully.
go-
'Cause
Gee,
you
I wonder
can't-
who Amanda could be.
Because you can make a difference by getting them removed.
You want to know something great? I was recently watching a YouTube video that was essentially, I'm sure you folks could find it if you Google this. It
Excuse
was
me.
essentially called something like how Tesla fumbled the bag, and it was about Tesla and how they have literally fucked up really bad because they got an immense head start in the electronic vehicle game, but they still, like 10 years down the line or whatever, act like a massive startup instead of an actual established company.
Yeah.
And as a result, they are probably going to surrender significant market share in the coming years to people like Ford and shit, because
Yeah.
you know
They
are-
say what you will. They actually make cars.
one of the
That's what
things
they
that
fucking do.
got brought, two of the things that I really enjoyed that got brought up in the video. The first was Tesla announced the Cybertruck like how many years ago? Whatever. In the time between Tesla announcing it and nothing happening because there aren't any on the road, Ford walked up to the mic, tapped it, went, "Yeah, we're gonna make this thing called the F-150 Lightning. It's going to be an electronic truck, an EV truck. Bye."
Yeah,
And then
that's it.
And then it came out, and now there are like thousands on the road. And in that whole time, the Cybertruck has not come out.
I'm sure other people talk this death. One of my least favorite things. There's lots of things I dislike about Tesla, but one of my least favorite things is the desire to build everything from the ground up, like, and just like all the knowledge of making cars, throw it out the window. We're going ground up. So it's like all this shit that the lessons they've had to learn that they didn't fucking have to if they just like, I don't know, licensed pre-existing cars to build off of or something. You know what I mean? You can do that. You can buy that shit and then build off of it.
Did I tell you the thing I learned about Teslas from the Always Sunny podcast?
What is that?
They don't work if you don't have a Wi-Fi connection.
They kind of do, but not really.
Yeah.
They kind of do, but not like you can be without your Wi-Fi connection, but it's kind of like when all the every single
car start unless you have a Wi-Fi connection.
It's kind of like how almost I don't know if they do them still anymore because I haven't had a console in a long time, but all the major consoles were doing the no, you don't have to play online, but you do have to periodically connect your console to the internet regardless of whether you play online games or it will brick itself. It's more like that.
I don't buy video games that do that. Always online games, that is an absolute deal killer.
Well, it's not about always online games. You could play only like games that don't have any online aspect. It was the consoles themselves that needed to connect periodically. That was the problem.
Because that's how they got their updates and stuff.
Yes, Badger. Doors not opening if a battery runs out is a bad idea. But that's like...
Yes. So it's stuff like... because the reason why I learned this on the Always Sunny podcast is the guy who plays Dennis told a story about how he parked in a parking garage that was the bottom floor of the parking garage. And obviously, there's no signal down there. Because it's the bottom of a parking garage. And then his Tesla was just stuck in the parking garage for 3 days because he could not get it to start because he did not have a Wi-Fi or a cell phone connection.
Like, I'm super into like, you know, engineering disasters and shit. So I've heard all about the car related ones. So almost every time Tesla has a problem that's not directly related to like the very Tesla specific stuff, I always go, oh, we learned that lesson already. We did this. We've gone through this before. That's why cars are so much safer now, because we already did that like 40 years ago. How are you still doing it? Oh, right. You're idiots.
Yeah, it's it's the same sort of mentality a lot of startups by really clueless tech bros have, where they roll up and they're all like, we have this fascinating new idea. It's incredibly disruptive to the scene. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. And they get tweet responses that are like, that is literally just being a landlord, or that is literally just a bus.
Or it's like, or they'll be like, oh, we're going to try this new thing. I'm like, no, we all, oh, that reminds me, like, there was that brief period where like there were a bunch of like weirdos coming into webcomics with all these like ideas about like, oh, you've never seen this in comics before. It's like, we tried that like 10 years ago. It was really bad. We did that. Oh, some of the it's a whole thing. We could have a whole episode. We should one day have a webcomic retrospective episode.
To be perfectly honest, it's like nothing's more indicative that you don't belong in a scene than when you show up acting like the most 101 basic shit in that scene is this revolutionary, reimagining that you came up with.
What I think is really funny is we, as people of a certain age, all learned that websites that autoplay music are horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. God, yes. We learned that a billion years ago.
And then, because, like, the new generation of teens and 20-somethings on Tumblr and Webtoon, they weren't old enough to know that was awful. So they all did it again. They repeated our mistakes.
Fucking Webtoons pissed me off because I was like, they just had auto-playing music for some comics, and I was like, you should know better than this. Do not do that.
That sounds so distracting.
It was awful. It basically made me like tab out and quit reading some things because I was like, no, I will not be subjected to auto-playing music. You will not do this to me.
Yeah, it's just like honestly, it's like basic internet.
It also wasn't good music, if I can be honest. Like, these were comics I was actively reading. The music wasn't good. It's like, why did you add music? It was kind of like hey, you know what would make this car go faster? Let's slap some flame decals on it. Hey, you won't know what would make this comic more emotional? A sad song. It's like, no, comics don't need music to be emotional. Fuck off.
If you're doing them right, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, fuck off. You don't need to do that. And it wasn't good music.
Yeah, I've
You
been getting
actually undercut the scene. I'm so angry. So mad.
I've actually been starting to read more of those kind of comics that are like built for the internet that prioritize people with phones, so they're really
Yeah, yeah,
long and
yeah.
really skinny. Yeah, and I found one. I forget which side it was on, but it was called My Super Granny, and it's Korean, and it's about a older woman with dementia. She's like in her 90s and she has dementia, and a young daughter who comes home from college and like life in the big city to take care of her granny because her parents are getting kind of overwhelmed. And it's really interesting because it has a lot of Korean history in it. And for, folks who are like me, who are ugly Americans who get taught like
Excuse me, I'm an adorable American.
who get taught maybe like a sliver of the most flattering American history and then get just kind of shoved out the door. Like, and now Korean history is a fucking bummer because,
Yeah.
as we all are aware, in the 20th century, early 20th century, Japan did an imperialism. And one of the places they did an imperialism was Korea, and it did not go well. And they behaved as I'm sure you can imagine imperialistic occupiers and colonizers behaved. And the granny in this comic remembers that because her dementia helped, like, she's allowed to remember like a couple of things with her dementia. One is her extreme youth, another is sort of routine shit she's done all her life over and over and over and over. And so those are the things she remembers. And she has no short term. She doesn't remember her granddaughter, but And wow, Japanese occupation was a fucking nightmare. And a detail about this granny is she is illiterate. Like she is a woman living in the fucking 20th century who is fully illiterate. And part of that is connected to her being a girl, and part of that is connected to the Japanese occupation. And it's really educational, and it fucking sucks, but it doesn't try to make you feel sorry for this woman. Like she is that's why it's called Super Granny. Like the granddaughter is in awe of her granny's resilience and sort of what she did to keep her family fed. And she had really, really shitty in-laws who were like angry at her all the time because she had two daughters when she first got married and didn't have a son for years. And they were literally upset with her for not having a son, like it was on her or something. So it was just really, it was a lot, but it's really good. So if you want to search, My Super Granny Korean webcomic, it's worth
Okay.
a read.
I'll put that on my list.
And it's pretty too. It's pretty. It's very watercolory.
Yeah, I don't mind the again. I don't mind the scrolling format. I just think my only gripe is when you cannot. My only gripe with the scrolling vertical format is when a panel cannot be viewed in the entirety of your screen. Like you have to scroll through the panel. I'm like, that's not how we
Yeah.
read Like it's not good to read. Like my eyes actually don't follow that correctly. And
Yeah.
again, this might be a kind of media literacy I don't have yet, but I don't enjoy it because like, no, I want the entire panel. If I have to scroll through an image, I don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah. It should be all. If you're gonna make it tall, don't make it wide too.
Well, I just want it to fit this. Yeah. Well, even if you make it tall, I don't want to scroll through an image because, like, I don't think it has the effect people think it does.
Mm. You want to go into detail on that?
I think I need visual examples, and this is not the time.
Jay Brooks says everyone wanted to be homestuck about the old webcomic days. Not me, but I get where that's coming.
But yeah, I
from,
mean,
yeah.
well, also. Something I always think about if I had the time and if tomorrow I could take a week off and do anything,
Yeah.
I would love to do some kind of like webcomic history lesson in YouTube form because that I think is the format people would actually consume it.
We do have
readily.
a friend who put together like what do you call them? Shit. Like a slideshow
Yeah.
of webcomic.
Right, but I'd
history.
like it to be in like a real because the audience I would like to be very entertaining and digestible because I feel like this is a history that is not recorded and therefore you have new people going, I want to make comics, I want to make webtoons, and then they repeat all the failures of webcomics and not the successes. Because they just don't know this shit happened. Like, where would you learn it? Like, yes, we have friends who teach classes on this stuff, but like, this is not a common course you can take. And it
No,
would
it's
just be
really not.
nice to be like, look, here it is, the history with like interviews with people who were actually there, and we're because we know people, we could do that. But it's also, I'm tired. I'm
Yeah.
old and I'm tired.
Yeah, I think it'll be kind of interesting seeing how this gets, like, the scene gets distilled down in like 10 years, because that's the fate of everything. And when you're old, you understand, like,
You know?
when you live through something, and then, 10, 15, 20 years later, you see what parts of it survive to make it into the cliff
What
notes.
if
Hmm?
what if I were to contact our friend and some other friends, and we do a special episode of Geek Show that takes advantage of the fact that it is a visual thing, and we do slideshows. We do a retrospective with slides.
That might be fun.
That might be fun. It'd be a future coordinating, actual planning an episode thing. I think that'd be nice.
It'd be more satisfying than what I was picturing, like the thing in 20 years where you see what survives to make it into the cliff notes, and you just go, well, that's not exactly
I would
right,
like
but I guess
that.
it's right enough. I guess it's right
Like every
enough.
time there's a new adpocalypse, I'm like, oh my god, when will people learn about the? Oh right, the adpocalypses of past are lost to time.
Yeah. Like the stuff I see, most of the
I mean,
stuff. I'm not
I wrote a blog post about the adpocalypse, so
Yeah,
I
but
at least recorded the ones I'm a part of.
right, but like, is that easily accessible to children on the internet? That's what I'm saying. Well, what I'm talking about is something. There's been lots of people who have written lots of things, but how much of it is accessible to a 15-year-old who's making comics and going, I want to put this on the internet? You know what I mean? I want to make something that is accessible. There's lots of stuff we can pull information from. Like I just want like future comic makers to know about stuff so they don't like waste years of their fucking life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get that. I get that impulse. It'd be fun to try.
Yeah. It would have to be, but this would be a special one, and there'd be there'd be no cussing.
There'd be no cussing.
No
So
cussing.
so we could have the slideshow, and then our little avatars could be little tiny and off to the side, and the person we're talking to who made the slideshow or whatever's avatar could be central. They could be all like, okay, so the year is the year 2000.
Well, I think the slideshow. Well, I think I want more collaborators on it too, because I think
Mhm.
we all have blind spots.
Oh, we do.
For example, we
do.
have friends who have successful webcomics that have made them lots of money for many years. And I think their input would be much more valuable than, me, who has never made money off a webcomic and just does it for funds. And even then, it'd be nice to have other perspectives.
The thing that I kind of see almost like fading in front of me, like Marty McFly and Back to the Future before his parents kissed, the thing that's just fading from collective memory is Project Wonderful. And it'd be fun if we could talk to Ryan about Project Wonderful.
Oh, absolutely.
The thing is like, I think a lot of stuff that we know about for webcomics history, not all of it is public knowledge, and that's intentional.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I would want to get relevant people involved and they say what they want to say. I'm not saying we talk about. That's why I said this would involve planning.
Yeah.
We wouldn't just be sitting here talking off the cuff, blurting out whatever comes to our mind.
Yeah. But yeah, we know the people who were there. You know what I mean? We know the people who have gone on.
Also, the stuff I know that's largely private, I don't think would be relevant anyway.
Yeah.
I want to just go over, kind of even the broad strokes are kind of lost. That's what I'm saying. Like, even like, what was the earliest webcomic? And some people will just look you in the eye and go like, oh, it was this one webtoon. And I'm like, no, you were wrong. You were incorrect.
Good Lord, no.
You know what I mean? It's wild how much is just gone.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Kristen was saying something about webcomics history is so, I know what you meant, but it says so ducking ephemeral. And I get it. And it kind of falls prey to what all sort of newborn mediums fall prey to, one of the things that I have gotten into very tangentially, not in a like personal, I'm being active in the scene way, but in a observatory way. I kind of sit off to the side and spectate it because I find it fascinating, is the scene that is dedicated to rescuing lost and endangered media. And while I was reading up on it, one of the things that kept coming up is how many movies are just gone forever. Not because of a fire in the vault or something like that. It's just that no one at the time gave a shit to preserve any of it. They didn't think it was important enough to archive. So there, if you go on Wikipedia right now, you will see, oh yeah, so and so was a fantastic director, and we have 2 of the 89 movies they made. Like, really? It's like, yeah, the rest are just gone. They're just gone. Why? Because everyone thought movies were stupid garbage, and no one thought they were worth preserving. The same way that once upon a time people thought baseball cards were stupid crap for babies, so no one really thought to take care of their baseball cards. Or people thought that, you know, Action Comics #1 was stupid crap for babies, so no one really thought to take care of their Action Comics #1. This is sort of a pattern that keeps repeating itself, just like a ton of early television is lost. The thing that blows my mind is there are so many BBC shows, excuse me, that are gone forever, but the primary one that is considered gone forever and kind of the greatest tragedy, and the BBC literally has a program in place to try and find lost episodes, is Doctor Who. There are like 80 episodes of Doctor Who that are just fucking in the wind. And it's because the BBC thought it was, you know, not really worth archiving. They didn't think anyone would want to see an episode.
Well,
of
also they
Earth
had
and
limited
Doctor
tapes,
Who.
so they would just tape over
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, but they never thought anyone in 20 years would want to see a 20-year-old episode of Doctor Who. And so they would reuse tape. And another thing that was really kind of horrible is a literal directive came down to just destroy tape, because it's like, we can't store all this shit. Get rid of it, burn it, throw it away. And that was a thing that happened in the 60s and 70s, and that's where all the like the really early Doctor Who, it was binned. It just went in the trash.
Is that so much of a bad thing?
Well, a lot of people are heartbroken they never get to see those episodes.
I think
It's
it's
like,
fine.
It's this fucking like touchstone of British media. I think as Americans, we don't necessarily kind of understand what it can mean when you have this cultural thing your country has made that the rest of the world understands and identifies with, because America has such media dominance. But like a good example is my mother is Jamaican. And if you go to Jamaica, there are multiple bronze statues of Bob Marley, because it is this tiny fly speck ass island you can drive across in 3.5 hours. And it has kind of no international profile other than reggae and Bob Marley. And they hold on to those with like these bloodless white knuckle grips, because it's how the world sees them, and they know that. And that might be something maybe that's going on with the UK and Doctor Who. Like in this fucking David versus Goliath, American media versus UK media battle, most people know what Doctor Who is. And like that matters, and that's
Also,
cool.
just addendum, I was being a turd about it's okay to lose that stuff. I'm just being a turd.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
I'm just being a turd because I'm allergic to Doctor Who. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I hope my husband's not here. I'm not a huge fan either. but I get it. I get the
Well, I
obsession
mean,
with which, yeah.
I was married to someone who screamed about it every day. You know,
Oh,
I get the
okay.
hives.
Yeah. And
Amanda has trauma. And please respect it. Spike.
Yes, please.
That's
Please respect my sensitization to Doctor Who and subsequent allergic reactions.
Yeah. But I was watching a thing about sort of the BBC's quest to dig up old Doctor Who. And one of the things that has been helping in this quest, like there's a big list of the 80 episodes they're looking for. But
Didn't they have like broadcast basically get bounced back to us from space?
Yes, they did. They did get an episode or 2 back from that.
Yeah. But one of the things that's really fascinating is where they have found old reels. Because the way they used to do it, you know, before satellites were a thing, is they would literally ship out episodes on
Blood
reel to
Force
reel.
Doctor Who.
Yeah. They would literally ship out reels of Doctor Who, to BBC affiliated networks all over the world with instructions to destroy them this many days after broadcast so they didn't get pirated. And some places just didn't do that, and most places did though. And so they have found lost episodes or thought lost episodes of Doctor Who in places like Scandinavian insane asylums and Nigerian broom closets.
Uh-oh.
And it's fucking wild. It's really fun to watch. I'm sure, like, if y'all look for, lost and found Doctor Who episodes on YouTube, you will find these stories. Because the lost media scene, because there is a scene, is this is one of their like prime directives.
Oh,
really.
that's why I was yeah, I know you watch this dude too, but the Kenny Lauderdale guy.
Mhm.
I think was he the one who did the video about why Japanese lost media is so hard to keep, and it's those
Yeah.
basically just because like Japan's weather is really really antagonistic to tapes
Oh yeah, a lot
and
of
cellulose and stuff.
yeah, a lot of stuff used to be on celluloid, and celluloid can decay. And Japan is a country that's really moist and really hot, and as a result, moist and hot doesn't play nice with celluloid.
Yeah,
and
it's
so
it's like
rotting
a
in the canisters.
yeah, it's like you can get the canister going, oh, we found this. I'm like, don't say that till you've opened it. Don't say what you found till you open the
Yeah.
canister, because it could just be goo.
Yeah, and one of the things that Kenny taught me, which I think is really neat, is the concept of vinegar syndrome, which is what rotting tape smells like. Apparently,
Yep.
he has this overpoweringly gross vinegar smell. And there is a lost media recovery service that's literally called vinegar syndrome, which I think is really funny. But yeah,
it's
I
wild the
fucking love that
materials
shit.
things used to be made out of, because that was just how you did it. It wasn't a matter of
Yeah.
this is the cheapest or we don't want to keep this. Even stuff people wanted to keep was like, good
Mhm.
luck.
Yeah, and there are people, this is like their entire off the clock life, like asking people to send them reel to reels that they found that like reek of vinegar and are literally decaying as we speak. And they spend their off hours re-recording what they can recover of this media to more permanent storage and trying to clean up the damage like 60 years in storage has done. And that's really interesting.
I think
Matter
it'd
of
be
fact,
great to like remake something just based off memories alone.
actually, you know what?
See how
There-
close you can fucking get.
There are episodes of Doctor Who, at least one episode, that somebody has recreated because somehow we have the audio, but we don't have the video. And they have actually gone in and essentially made an animatic for it, like a portrait style live action animatic. And it's really
Oh yeah,
interesting. That's, I think, the closest we're going to get.
Kristen
to
in
seeing
chat says old film was hilariously flammable. Like
Yeah. Yeah, that's where a lot of matter of fact, if you look up Hollywood vault fires, you'll find one or two that just absolutely destroyed like 20 years of movies because the masters were kept in these studio vaults. And because, like you said, Kristen, the tape, the reels are so flammable. Like someone smokes in there and then 20 years of Hollywood history are gone.
Yep.
It's fucking wild.
Yeah, Jay Brooke says only tangentially related. Disposal of damaged or outdated mascots for places like Disney, and more specifically Woodsy the Owl, Smokey the Bear's Companion, is complete incineration. And yeah, I think that isn't that because they just don't want people to get that stuff out of the like trash and reuse it.
Yep, pretty much.
The way
Chuck E.
people were doing with Chuck E. Cheese stuff, like, look, we
Yeah.
found it. Now it's ours. We're gonna repurpose this shit.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That is basically what you do to protect your copyright or whatever, your brand.
Well, it's not just it's about your brand, but also like, yeah, no, you're correct. My brain went in a completely. But yeah, it's they like, for example, like if you have a bunch of like animatronics, they don't want people digging that out, starting their own business, and like, look, we also have, it's dirty, but we also have the animatronic. Come look at it.
Yeah.
Observe.
There was actually one piece of lost. This is like not related to celluloid or anime or anything, but there's one kind of fascinating thing that kind of plagued the lost media community for years. And I remember this because it's so bizarre and it's kind of in my own lifetime, so it's a bit more poignant. There was a TV show on Fox called Malcolm in the Middle.
I watched that.
Walter White, air quotes, was on it as the dad, which is why it blew so many Gen Xers and older millennials' minds when he decided to be a serious actor and was in Breaking Bad. But that
Didn't he act before? Anyway, ignore me.
yeah. But his first air quotes big role was the dad on Malcolm in the Middle, where he was the dad of these three boys, and it was like this comedy show on Fox. And the opening of Malcolm in the Middle was kind of this hodgepodge of just media. And one of the things that was in the opening was a ski jumper who was just fully on fucking fire, just jumping off a ski ramp, completely on fire, flames billowing behind him. And at some point, someone in a lost media forum asked, "Hey, what's that from?" And everyone realized like they didn't fucking know. And it launched off this giant search for where the fuck did this clip of this ski jumper fully engulfed in flames come from? And it took him like 20 years to find an answer.
Oh man, that shit. I really like to watch. I hope I'm saying this right. That Phalos guy. He used to be on the channel Awesome Shit, but he's not anymore. And he mostly like covers like bootleg toys and nerd culture. He's really into Teenage Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters, reviews a lot of toys and media, but he also is really into like old shitty knockoff animated stuff, like the Golden Times films that would knock off Disney and those Dingo animations that would knock off Disney and other stuff, and like just all this cheap shit that like no, that does not have any reason to be held on to. It's not good, but I'm so happy it's being held on to because there's something just so like I like that. I don't know. I just like that. I like to see like no, it's not artistic. It has no artistic merit, but I just love that this shit that's like only existed to rip off other people and be as cheap as possible. That's fascinating to me.
Yeah. There was something else too in 2022. We might all remember that one of the biggest pieces of like internet legendary lost media got found, and that was the American Sailor Moon pilot.
Oh yeah.
I remember when that dropped and I watched it. And I'm bringing this up, Amanda, because you were like, yeah, it's not even good, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't be saved.
Yeah.
And yeah, wow, that fits that fucking trash to a T. And I was just watching it and I was just grinning because I'm like, this sucks.
Oh, well, yeah.
This fucking sucks so bad. But I'm so glad we found it. It's so bad. It's so fucking bad.
I mean, it's not that bad, really. It's really, it's extremely of its time. Like, when I say it's not bad, it's not exceptional in its badness.
Yeah.
Like, it's very of its time. It is of the same level of bad as everything else that was bad at that time. It's not going to blow your mind.
No, it's not astonishing bad, but it's just you're watching it, you're like, this is just crap.
Yeah, if you this is what I imagined it was, yes.
Yeah, and one of the things that it is fascinating as a relic from the specific time it came from. And yeah, and again, it's like you'd never fucking know it now, signing on to Netflix and seeing like the dedicated anime section and stuff, but there was a time when people tried really, really, really hard to hide the origin of Japanese media. And this was kind of like indicative of that. There are still a lot of people my age and slightly older who
I love this jelly donut.
I love this jelly donut.
Yeah, exactly. Who refer to Macross as Robotech. I mean, you know, and the pilot is Rick Hunter, as far as they're concerned, because that's what was done.
Wasn't Robotech like a mashup of like two different shows?
Yeah, Robotech was a massive, massive chop job where they just took a bunch of Macross shows and just.
I thought one wasn't even Macross, if I remember right.
I can believe that too. Because it was real bad. And the company is called Harmony Gold, and I believe they tried to have a Kickstarter years ago and it didn't fund.
God, like I bought I went out of my way because like, one of my fucking favorite comics is a Japanese comic that is not very well loved or popular. So like I've talked about this before. Like it didn't even get no. It did get fully translated. It just never got fully released. Because this was back when because this was Miss Hello or Club 9. It's Haruo Miss Hello or whatever.
You've talked about that before.
Yes.
Yeah, that one sounds fun. Yeah.
It's so good. I have the first the only 3 volumes that were ever released in like collections. They never did the final one because there was no reason, it didn't sell. But this was also, what was it called? Oh shit, it was the Dark Horse magazine. that released
Dark
anime.
Horse presents.
No,
Oh,
no, no. It
that's
was
a
their
different
anime.
magazine
No, no,
then.
no, no. It was their specifically. It was their anime periodical where they would release single issues of different manga that they were translating. And I forget. I have it. You know what? I'm gonna be right back. I have piles of it in my shelf. Give me a second.
But yeah, lost media stuff is fun, especially if you want to just like dip your toe in, folks. Just search like recently found lost media 2022 because a lot of people put year-end compilations together of stuff that was found that year, and so much media is being produced.
Well, I just knocked over my table. Whatever. It's fine. Nope.
Yes, so much media is being produced as we speak that chances are you're gonna find it. And
Okay, I got it. It was Dark Horse manga. It was called Super Manga Blast. And it was a period. Oh, hey, the first story in it is Club 9. Hooray. But yeah, my precious. But yeah, it was Dark Horse manga's Super Manga Blast, and they would periodically release single issues of different series. This one has What's Michael in the back too. Oh, hell yeah. So, but
I
yeah.
love What's Michael.
Oh yeah, What's Michael's great. Club 9's by the same creator.
Oh, I didn't know
That's
that.
my favorite Dracula representation. Is What's Michael.
Yeah, the guy who made What's Michael made Miss Hello, and Miss Hello is my favorite comic ever. But yeah, so they released the entirety in Super Manga Blast. But when they came to do the collections, they didn't do the last one because there was, I think, either the last one or last two, because there was no reason. It's fine, though. I got the hookup. I will not elaborate on that, so I have all of it. But because, okay, so I have it all digitally now. I have the original 3 English collections. I have as many copies of Super Manga Blast that I could get. This one's so... This one has got coffee stains on it. Rest in peace, little magazine. It's fat though. These were fat. But I then went out of my way. They did a few years ago a re-release of the Japanese ones in 3 collections. I bought those because no, I'm going to own this physically, even if I can't read it. I'm going to own this.
See, I absolutely get that. I'm Japanese media was such that for me for a while, where it's beautiful and I'm going to have it in my house even if I don't know what it says.
Oh yeah, this is the What's Michael where they're all dancing. Oh.
And for folks who don't know, What's Michael is like a Japanese Garfield. It's about a little fat orange cat.
Except it's so much better than
It's so much better.
Well, that's not hard, to be honest. But yeah,
have you read Heathcliff lately, Spike?
Okay, that is. I mean, Heathcliff is
No. This
thing.
is not digs at Heathcliff. This is
Heathcliff is good. Heathcliff is good. I'm aware.
Yeah,
Don't worry. I read a lot of Heathcliff. Well, a cat walking around with a top hat that says ham on it. Yes, I know.
Yes, I love that Heathcliff decided we're gonna go in a just complete Dadaist direction.
Yeah. The
you
trash
get it or you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, when I was tweeting about Heathcliff a few years ago, she's not very active on Twitter anymore, but there was a cartoonist. Her name is Dana Simpson, and she does something called, I think it's called Sophie and Her Unicorn. And this is another thing.
Yeah. They used to do Ozzy and Millie.
She still does it.
Yeah, it's published in many.
I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that. But here's the thing. When I was tweeting about Heathcliff, she quote tweeted me on Twitter because I was like, what? And she quote tweeted me on Twitter, and she was all like, Heathcliff has been being done for decades and decades, and this is kind of what it looks like when you need to come up with something literally every single day, and you've been doing it for decades, and you either go completely flat or you go completely insane. There is no middle ground, and Heathcliff has gone the completely insane route, where it is just absolutely unhinged and doing crazy bullshit non-joke jokes. And that is because that is the result of 40 years of having to have something to say every day.
But Dana Simpson is still doing a lot of comics.
Oh, I know. I never said she wasn't.
Yeah. It's funny because at not the most recent Rose City, but 2 Rose Cities ago, I went to say hi to my friend Chris Robinson, who and Dana was next to him, and we were talking about some ancient bullshit internet shit. And Dana like leaned in and was like, "I'm eavesdropping, but I'm invested in this conversation." And I did recognize her and her work. And told her that I liked Ozzy and Millie.
Yeah, I was reading Ozzy Millie when it was like actively updating.
Yeah.
I was dating someone at the time who I think got like first-hand permission to roleplay as one of their characters. It was a weird time to be online.
Yeah, it was. See, and the thing is, we're sitting here talking about Ozzy and Millie, and I'm sure half the chat is like, "What?"
That will inspire them to perhaps Google it and educate themselves.
Yeah, it was just an online comic, and it was the way I always thought of it is, and this is not meant as a dig in any way. I always thought of it as clearly the product of someone who is of a similar age range of myself, and also grew up reading Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, there's a very newspaper strip vibe, but when newspaper strips were allowed to be good.
Yeah, and again, Calvin, one of the sort of points about Calvin and Hobbes is Calvin is a child with quotes around it. Like Calvin is not really a little boy. He's clearly not. He says things that
He's a vehicle.
Yeah, no 6-year-old would talk like Calvin talks. And that was very much reflected in Ozzy and Millie, which was about a wolf child and a fox child who were very much not children in the same sense. But yeah, feel free to go look it up. Maybe you'll find it. Although, if I can be totally honest, I think Sophie and her unicorn is kind of a more developed concept.
It's very similar. It's kind of like, did you like that? We're doing it again. But
better.
But better.
Yeah.
But now it's a girl and her unicorn instead of a fox and a wolf. But yeah. That is the origin story there. But I remember that Dana got that gig because, God, what is even the name of her fucking
yeah, there was some like
Amazon
newspaper
affiliated
strip contest.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, there's Amazon affiliated Be the Next Big Newspaper Comic Strip Star contest, and Dana won it. So that's that origin story.
I had one of the unicorn posters, and it got eaten, and I don't know what ate it. I just know it got eaten.
Fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, you own rats, right? Okay.
No, I don't. No, I just said I don't know what ate it.
Oh, okay.
Again, I have not always lived in urban environments.
Yeah, that's true.
Again, remember, the little, I told y'all about the little wooden house that me and my mom used to live in, where a possum or a raccoon, not sure, ate my pajamas.
That is true. By the way,
just all these holes in my pajamas.
Can I completely change the subject?
No.
Because I have a question.
What?
And you need to forgive me because Spike is an old lady and is easily confused, and I'm wandering up and down the street in my pajamas, dragging a stuffed alligator on a bathrobe belt leash, because that's how confused I am. Okay, so folks in cartoonist Twitter probably saw that the new manga studio dropped.
Clip Studio Paint version 2. I want it desperately.
Yeah,
here's the thing.
Clip Studio Paint.
When you go to the buy page, there are like 15 billion options. And that was such an immediate turnoff for me. I immediately clicked away and didn't read it very closely. For folks who know, is there an option available if you have Clip Studio EX
to just upgrade it for a one-time fee? Yes, it's $36.99.
And it is not
the subscription. No. I can
No, there is no subscription. I got the
validation, Nero. The website is awful.
I got the Spike. I upgraded for the pro version. That is also not a subscription.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna upgrade.
On sale.
I'm gonna upgrade as soon as I can, but I have EX, and there is a button that just click here, and currently they're doing their sale, so the upgrade is
Yeah.
only like $36 something.
Oh, yeah, I
So
will happily upgrade what I have now, but I refuse to subscribe. That's
no,
bullshit, and
absolutely not.
I will not support that model.
I was kind of wishy-washy, like, I don't need the upgrade. I like some of the features, but then the new text features made me go, never mind. Give me those. Give me the new text
Yeah.
features.
And I would like a banana sticker a la Metalocalypse, because I did not tweet anything about this wouldn't be a problem if you hand lettered.
I don't got that kind of time, and
I
I don't
know, I
enjoy
know.
doing it.
See, that's how you know I've grown as a person.
Thank you.
Because I had that thought and I went, no, saying that makes you a piece of shit. Don't get
Yeah,
and I didn't tweet
It's
it.
just I'm at that point where if I don't enjoy doing something when I'm making art, why do it? So like
Yeah.
I don't actively enjoy lettering, so I'm not going to.
I really love lettering.
I
really,
like doing panel layouts. I like thumbnailing. I love inking. I like toning. I sometimes like coloring. I like everything about the comic making process except lettering, so I'm not going to do it.
yeah.
No one can make me.
Yeah. For folks who don't know, I make
Exactly,
comics very,
Nero. Some of us have baby wrists.
I have a comic on co-host called Ordinary, which is about a shitty dude and his monster friend. And I am so busy and run so fucking ragged all the time that I very rarely get to update it. But I'm trying to do that thing where I work on it an hour every day, no matter what. And that finally, after 2 months, I obviously didn't do an hour every day for 2 months. I just couldn't. But I uploaded the latest comic, and it's kind of like, it's demonstrative of why I really enjoy freehand lettering a lot. And just go to co-host and search for Iron Spike, all one word. I'm right there.
That is why I should hit up Kel for the service the whoever they commissioned to do their hand letter the font based off their handwriting, because I have a font based on my handwriting that is not very good, but it works. I did it using like 3 different free softwares to cobble it together, but it works and I'm happy with it. But I would like something more like Kel's.
Yeah. And just for detail, Kel, what is it that you use?
Well, I think it's a person.
Oh no! I mean the font specifically. Like, it's one of those deals where if you press shift, it's slightly different.
I hired a person to make the font. It's a smart font. And they've made fonts for other people. They made a font for Casey Green. There's a bunch on their website.
Yeah, once I have more of a budget, that's like number 2 on my list after a nice inkjet printer with the refillable ink tanks.
Yeah. My big thing that I won't be able to afford for like 2 years probably is I would like just a new desktop computer. Like the one I got now.
To be fair, considering you, I'm shocked how old your computer is.
Yeah. Just basically the money's not there right now.
Yes,
so
understandable.
I can't justify it, because when I do buy computers, I like to future proof.
Yeah.
And my indicator, my canary in the coal mine for when it's time to update, is when there are games I can no longer play. And that's kind of, just for context to everyone, the computer I have now, I bought in 2014, so it's about to be 10 years old. So it's functional. It does what I need it to do. It's kind of got a ship of thesis thing going on where I've replaced multiple parts, but not kind of enough to really constitute a brand new computer.
My computer is pretty good except for the graphics card, but that's more just a what you gonna do for a long time. You were stuck with what you got. But Badger helped me put it together and supplies shit for it. But yeah, now it is at a point where it is really, really, really good. And I could justify that because at the time I was doing all that video work for Iron Circus. And like for video work, you need a computer that doesn't shit itself.
Yeah. But I have now been experiencing a thing where, like the thing that I have right now is there are games that I used to be able to play, and I do try to a couple hours a month, a week rather. If you don't give yourself, I have experienced major burnout in 2022. I crashed and burned really, really hard, and had to take like a month off because I was just so run ragged and miserable and literally screaming during my work day, and I was gonna explode. I had to stop, and so I'm trying to I'm trying to be a little better about working in time that is where I'm off the clock, and even if my phone beeps and even if the Slack beeps, I'm not allowed to check it. Even though that's
Well, you
really
should mute it.
anxiety.
You know you can pause notifications, right?
Yeah, yeah. But at the same
That's
time,
what I do when I need to take a nap and the
part of
noises
that
piss me off.
is, I'm allowed to buy games. I'm allowed to buy myself games. And there was a game I really, really enjoyed. You probably saw me tweet about it, called Hard Space Shipbreaker, which at its heart is a puzzle game, but it's a really fun puzzle game where you are a shipbreaker and you are breaking spaceships. You are pulling them apart and selling pieces of them. And I really, really enjoyed that. And I got it. I broke my own rule. I got a game in development. I got a game that was not finished because, I've been fucked over that before on that. And I was playing, and then one day I couldn't play anymore. And I couldn't figure out why. It wouldn't load. It had loaded perfectly up until the next update. And I'm like, what happened? Yeah, and it turned out it's just that was the last bit that pushed my computer over the edge. It couldn't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, but I like Hard Space Shipbreaker, but I just couldn't play it anymore.
Spike. Speaking
Yes.
speaking of video games,
Mm-hmm.
RimWorld.
Yes.
The vanilla expanded guy is making you can be rebel deserters of the Empire.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. Like I kind of want to do that.
Go for it.
Like I don't have time to I got a PlayStation 5.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Congratulations.
I am going, but I was like getting all excited to buy some PlayStation 5 games and then thought about all the games I haven't finished yet.
Oh yeah. Oh my fucking god.
So,
Right there
so
with
I'm
you.
not playing RimWorld because I have to finish The Witcher 3 and Disco Elysium before I get a PlayStation 5 game.
I was finding my groove with RimWorld, but then I fell off the wagon because I discovered Wobble Dogs, and it's the only thing I play at the moment.
Wobbled. Okay, can I make a recommendation real quick?
Yes.
Everybody, there is the most adorable child, and I can say that because he kind of is. There is the most adorable child on YouTube. And
Is
his
it
name
me?
There's the most adorable child on YouTube, and I'm going to type his name in the chat. That is his name. His name is Therm.
Oh, I watched them. Yeah.
He is the tiniest, most precious baby. And he did a whole series where he was playing Wobble Dogs. And his cadence and his charisma make him really fun to watch. So if you're the kind of person that likes a Let's Player you can kind of put on your second monitor while you work on your first monitor, highly recommend
Yeah,
it.
I just found them
dude.
because
Just a
YouTube
fun
found out about my predilections. It was like, you like Wobble Dogs? Here's a Wobble Dog.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And I really enjoyed their Wobble Dogs.
Yeah, Therm is delightful. So I'm just gonna just watch him play Wobble Dogs and see if you don't agree.
Wobble Dogs is Wobble Dogs is my crack.
Did you breed some abomination with two
Yeah.
heads yet?
Oh, Spike. When Kel's done talking, come back around to me and I'll explain all about my abominations.
Okay.
I was just gonna talk about the PlayStation 5, so you can finish your Wobble Dog conversation first.
Oh, okay. Well, so because Wobble Dogs came out like, let's say a year ago, so I was watching people play it back then, and I kind of was like, oh, wait, I could play Wobble Dogs. Nothing's stopping me. So I switched over like a month ago, and because I can only play one game at a time. I can't swap between games. It's like one game gets my attention and one game only. So right now it's Wobble Dogs, which means RimWorld is dead to me until I get tired of Wobble Dogs. Then I'll probably go back.
Yeah.
So I already knew the things you could do. I don't know the full limitations, but I knew the things you could do. So I went into the game. This is also the only game I've ever gotten 100% achievements in because I don't care about achievements. I don't care about achievements or badges or little rewards or rankings. I don't give a shit. I just want, but those achievements are all tied to things that help me mutate my dog. So I, therefore, have 100%ed that stupid game. So.
Like, breed a dog missing its front right leg.
Yeah. My first worm dog was hell. Anyway, so well, no, it wasn't just that. So you get an achievement. Okay, for people who don't know, basically Wobble Dogs is if you took the Chow raising and game from the Sonic Adventure games and then hodgepodged it together with Spore and Yeah, that's kind of wobble dogs. So you feed these dogs things. What you feed them has different aspects, and those will mutate them, and then you can breed them together and choose from their offspring what you want to keep. So you're intentionally mutating them by feeding them like hamburger and burrito, and then you will breed them together for the offspring you want. So I have currently 3 breeding lines. I've got what I'm calling the Unipugasus. They're like fat square pugs with giant angel wings, unicorn horns, and little smushed faces. They're great, though they are now approaching a size where they can't feed themselves because their heads are too big.
Art reflects life.
Art reflects life. Oh yeah, they can also eat poop. My other breeding line it's trickier, but it's going well, is my caterpillar dogs. They are very, very tiny. I've got them. My current struggle is I have dogs that have 4 pairs of front legs and then another one that has 4 pairs of back legs. I cannot get them to produce offspring that have 4 in the front and 4 in the back. This is my current struggle.
You are desperate for an octodog.
Yes, I'm desperate because I feel like I could go, I'm satisfied once I have even numbers of legs in the front and the back. They're very, very small. Again, they are now reaching points where they can't feed themselves very well, so I bury them in piles of chicken nuggets. Yeah, I just have giant chicken nugget mountains and I throw them into it. It's like, you can't starve if you live in food.
Yeah, there's literally always a chicken nugget like gently touching the corner of their mouth.
Yes.
So they don't have to wobble over to it.
There was a dog I had to make a trough for that it lived in.
Because even, I should note here, folks, or folks who aren't familiar with the game, even the wobble dogs who have 4 legs where they should be, they're not the best walkers either.
No, you have to train them, though. That's what people don't realize when they play the game. You do have to, if you encourage them a lot, they get better at walking, and they can pass that stuff down. A lot of people just play it and just like, why can't my dog eat and walk good? Why is it bad at everything? Like, because you never praise it. Praise your dog. Anyway, then my new breeding line are my Borzois.
Yeah.
It's going well. These are so far, they have also approached instability because they're so thin and tall, they kind of fall over. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they're also. One of the achievements is breed a worm dog. That is a dog that has no legs.
Oh, they're the saddest.
But this is the only one where you get a secondary achievement. All the other ones are breed a dog that has this many legs, breed a dog that has 2 heads, things like that. So you get an achievement for make a dog that has no legs. Then there's a secondary achievement, raise that dog so that it lives its full life. Because these fucking dogs, they can't move, and they're
horrible.
And you have to entertain them and feed them. So, but my very first worm dog had an aversion to being pet. Yeah. So like it would be miserable and I would try to pet it and then it would like growl at me and get even angrier. And I'm like, I can't wait till you die.
Yeah.
But I dedicated so much time. I made it a special worm dog trough that it lived in. It always had its face immersed in basically a bucket of food. I got that goddamn achievement. That dog died old age.
Uh-huh.
It did not starve.
Yeah. And I should note here, again, for people who aren't familiar with the game, the dogs have personality traits, like a sim in The Sims. So they can, like, be playful, or they can be reserved, or they can be aversion to pet, or aversion to eating, which is, like, the most frustrating one, apparently.
I got a 3-headed dog that was loud, which meant it barked a lot. Here's the thing. All the 3 heads bark, like, separately, but they layer over each other, so it's awful. It's just an awful noise when those dogs decide to start screaming at you.
Yeah.
I love this fucking game.
Oh, and they do die.
They do die. You can feed their corpse to other dogs, and it will cause both random mutations, and it'll also cause them to inherit mutations of the dog being eaten.
Yeah. So when they die too, from what I've seen, because I have not played this game myself, I've only watched Therm play it. From what I've seen, when they die, it's the most pathetic thing, because the game pops up an alert that goes, hey, so-and-so is approaching the end of their life. If you want to spend a few minutes with them before they fucking die, here you go. And you can zoom the camera to them, and then
they go, ow! And then all the other dogs go, ow! And then it dies.
And it just falls over. And
all its parts fall. No, all its parts. It just goes pop. It makes a pop noise, and all its
traumatizing thing is the head just pops off.
Yeah, the first time you see it, you're like, no, why? Oh, Spike, have you seen the full breeding animation?
Is that the giant robot dog that
Yes.
slams them together?
Yeah, I when I play, I try to like kill two birds with one stone, and when I play, I live stream. So I try to only play on live stream, except for the times I was leaving for Emerald City Comic and coming back when I was like, I need me time. But I had never, while streaming, let that animation play out. So I was like, well, I have a few people watching right now. I'm going to let it play out. And the entire chat was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What is this game? No. Like, I was like, yes, chaos in the chat.
Yeah. It's fucking, the first time you're seeing it, you're like, oh my god.
It's an incredibly cute, fucked up game.
Yeah, Wobble Dogs is very cute.
Adorable.
And I'm pretty sure that if you go to places like, the Wobble Dogs subreddit or whatever,
yes,
there are codes that you can get.
Download.
Eggs.
Yes.
They have some eggs.
No, when you get the codes, you import a full ass dog.
Oh, okay.
Which is really sucky because some people don't realize the funny thing is that some people realize, oh shit, I didn't get a code of my dog to share until it's about to die. So you will import a dog.
A dog that's about to die.
Yes, and it will die. You'll import and go cool, and then it'll die on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh well, I got to enjoy that dog for like a whole ass second.
Yeah.
So sometimes you'll get a dog, realize it's old, breed it real quick, and then like, oh thank God I got in there right before it just expired.
And sometimes you're sad because even when you breed it real quick, it doesn't pass on what you got it for.
Oh yeah, my favorite thing is the breeding simulator, because that's when you get two dogs you want to breed. So why it's called a breeding simulator is because it will generate all potential offspring randomly from those two dogs, and you then pick two to further breed from those. So it's almost like several generations of breeding really, really quick. Mm-hmm. And the more generations deep you go, the less stable it gets, which means you get more mutations. But that means the smaller the litters, the more likely the chain could break at any minute, and you only get one puppy, because once you get one dog, you're stuck with that dog. So like it's a lot of playing like, okay, do I want to push this further to get more mutations, or just pick a dog and go? There's a few times I lost a really good trait because I'm like, oh, I'll breed the good dog with this cool new trait. None of the puppies had, and I was like, God damn it.
There's no guarantee if you have a 2-headed dog and you have a 3-headed dog that when they breed, you're gonna have a 2-headed, 3-headed, or 5-headed dog.
Oh yeah, I lost a really cool trait. Like it came back when I tried to breed a new puppy, but I have, again, I'm sorry if I'm talking too much about this.
Amanda, stop.
I'm just saying, I'm monopolizing the conversation.
Because it's interesting and you have something to say.
Amanda, you have listened to me and Spike
talk
about
yes,
the world
that's true.
for 9 million hours.
That's
Seriously.
true. That is
me
true.
And Kel over here like, so this is what I'm doing in War Crime Simulator.
Fair. But yeah, no, I think this game just scratches all my itches, and it's been a really long time when I went like, oh, this hole's for me. This game was made specifically for Amanda. Breeding horrible dogs.
That scream and terror.
It could only be better if the only way you could improve it is if they were like cats or rats and not dogs. But it's like, no, I love them even though they're dogs. I mean, they're not really dogs.
Yeah, but
oh, I do have currently my current setup, and this is the last thing I'll say about it, is I have my Unipugasus breeding and raising room. I have my Borzoi breeding and the Borzoi used to be the dog neglect factory, but that's what I'm getting to. I have the dog neglect factory.
You are not allowed to shit talk RimWorld ever again. The dog neglect factory.
Look, I will explain. I will explain my dog neglect factory.
Where we make the dog neglect.
And then I have my freak room. The freak room is basically like, I like this freak, but they're not part of any of my breeding programs. But so I let them like do whatever the fuck they want in this Chuck E. Cheese room. I'm like, have fun in the Chuck E. Cheese room. You can just do whatever you want. You're a cool little freak. I'll save you for later if I need more freaks. Then I have it used to be, usually it's the dog neglect factory. It will return to being the dog neglect factory eventually.
The casualness.
So you only get one egg per dog when they reach adulthood. But when you have like you're breeding specific dogs, you don't want to breed too many dogs because you're just trying to focus on like specific dogs. So, but I need those fucking eggs. So but the game lets you generate as many default dogs as you want. So I have a room where the default dogs live, and I largely neglect and ignore them, and they mostly eat poop.
As one does.
Yeah,
Sure.
and I just wait for them to drop the eggs, and then I'm done with them.
Wow.
So that's the dog neglect factory.
I am actually, you want to know something terrible?
No.
We just got done talking about how we all have these games. We have piles of games. We're crushed under a
No,
pile
I'm not.
of games that we haven't played yet. And I'm
I
sitting
mean,
there.
I said 2 games, but
I
like,
have a email that just showed up in my inbox, and it's like Steam, like fucking showing up on my scoop, like the local dealer going, "Hey, yeah, they're having a spring sale right now," and just I went and Steam emails you when
Yeah.
there's stuff on your wish list that goes on sale, and they're just like, "Hey, you got like 20 things on your wish list that are like 75% off. What's up? What's up, Buttercup?" I'm like, "God damn it!" And I went and I looked, and I'm sorry I looked because
See, if you're broke all the time, you don't have what's temptation?
yeah. If
Yeah.
you're broke all the
Yeah,
time,
that's
you
the
don't
thing
have that
that's-
problem.
But it's like, oh god, like I have been watching Let's Plays. One of the nice things about Let's Plays is you don't have to look at the screen the whole time. You can glance over every couple minutes.
Depending
and-
on
I
the
love that.
game.
I completely ignored us being broke all the time.
No, I was making
like,
an offhand joke. It's
No, I just got done fucking financing an incredibly over budget animated short, so I know what it's like. But
That's
not
different than
comparable,
being
thank
broke.
you.
Yeah,
well, I still have debt. But anyway,
I had to make a decision about buying bread today. Look here, I'm not trying to like what's it, poverty
I
Olympics
know
here.
yeah, I know. But anyway, what
I'm
I'm
eating
saying
cookies though.
is
Yum yum.
there's a game called Surviving Mars I've been watching Let's Plays of, and I don't know if y'all feel the same, but sometimes when I'm watching Let's Plays, I get mildly to moderately annoyed if there's too much incompetence for my liking.
Oh hell no.
And I get an impulse that I call, "You're doing it wrong, give me the controller."
No.
And it's
I
I've been
like to
watching-
watch people fuck up. It's fun.
Oh god.
Here's the thing. I grew up. Okay, here's the thing.
Mhm.
I grew up. This is, I think, why I personally like Let's Play so much, because I grew up with my siblings, and we would all take turns playing games because we did not have a lot of controllers, and we did not all play multiplayer games. So
Uh-huh.
you just kind of get used to watching each other play games, and it was more about the company than it was about the game.
Oh, okay.
And that's, I think, what the appeal of Let's Plays for me. It's really not about the game being played. It's really about the person playing it. So that's
that's
why
so
I don't mind
interesting.
people who are bad at games. Like, I watch Call Me Kevin. He's not good at games.
Oh, well, Call Me Kevin is purposely not good.
I
at
know, but he's
games.
not good at games. But he's entertaining, and I like the company of listening.
Yeah.
That's why I don't care if people are bad at games. That's not why I'm watching them. In fact, if someone's real competent, sometimes that's not fun to watch because they get real into it and they don't actually talk and they're quiet. I'm like, no.
Yeah. See, I am actually in the middle of a Let's Play live thing right now for Vintage Story, and I am always very aware of when I go silent for what I feel is too long, because I'm like, no, I have to fucking say something. I have to fucking say, which is why if I'm mumbling on there, everyone, I deeply apologize, but
Yeah,
I have the need to fill air.
I would
Hey,
like to
real
say.
quick,
Oh,
what's a goofy name for a pizza company?
Pizza Steve.
Pie in the sky.
Okay, there we
Steve.
go.
But yeah, but there's this one game too.
Fat
I've been watching
pizza.
people play. I've been watching people play that fucking drives me insane, to the point where I kind of can't watch people play anymore because they keep doing it wrong. And I know how that sounds, but this is who I am as a person. It's pretty new. It's clearly inspired by Papers, Please. So if anyone remembers Papers, Please,
Yeah.
where you're a border control person and you're inspecting people's papers, it's called Contraband Police.
Oh, is that the 3D one where you're expecting trucks and stuff?
Yes, where you're
Okay, yeah,
inspecting trucks and you're inspecting cargo and you're inspecting papers and you're confiscating cocaine and you're fighting gangs. And so there's more to it. It's not like this rote copy of Papers, Please, but it's very much in the same vein. And as a result, it kind of demands you be very detail oriented when you're doing things, or you will miss things. Like, you have to unload trucks and then shine the special UV light on them to look for areas where they might be smuggling things. And you need to make sure if the truck has 2 broken taillights to note it, like shit like that. And the people I'm currently watching play, like I had to stop because they weren't trying to be funny. They weren't trying to be like Call Me Kevin, but they kept fucking up in ways that just made me want to just scream. I'm like, it's a simple list of things you have to go through and do, and you're not doing any of it. Just drives me insane.
I think the
Um,
only thing in Let's Players that pisses me off that's not like a personality thing is when they don't pause simulator games while they're trying to figure something out. I'm like, pause it, pause it, pause it, pause it. Why aren't you pausing?
Oh, you know what? The thing that
Um,
automatically makes me, I will never watch you just straight up if you do this even once.
Rude.
If you pause the game to just talk, not because you need to go to the bathroom, not because you need to figure something out, not because of something is going on in your life, but if you are having a conversation with the chat and you pause the game to continue this conversation with chat because you want to focus on the conversation instead of the game, that's when I click away and never come back. Straight up.
You want people to be bad at games?
I want people to play the game.
People
That's why
can't
I'm here.
multitask.
Some people can, but
Yeah, not everybody can. I cannot talk to my
Also,
chat and play a game.
but
sometimes
I am not watching.
there is an
you
issue going on in your chat, and you need to deal with it.
That's a reason to pause. That's fine. The thing is, if you are so caught up in the chat, it is now not a let's play. It is a podcast. So I am here to watch you play a game. I am not here to listen to a podcast.
Gotcha. So no streams for you.
I do not like streams. No.
Yeah, okay,
I
that sounds more like an editing problem.
Yeah, I don't like streams. I very much prefer edited content.
Because
very
almost
much.
all of the content that's on YouTube that's edited does have that in the original streams. Because I'll
I'm sure it
sometimes
does.
I'll sometimes watch the so this is less. I think this is just an editing issue. They're not
I
editing
think
it
it's
out.
a taste issue. It's a preference issue for me because I
Yeah.
like when I search for new Let's Players for a specific game, like
Because even the one, because I've watched Therm's longer
Yeah.
streams, and they definitely
yeah,
talk.
I'm sure they do, and I don't. That's why I don't watch them. It's like
Yeah.
when I want to see what new game. Like my big thing right now is I'm looking for people who play Hitman Freelancer. And I am watching streams a lot of the time because Hitman Freelancer is the kind of game that kind of lends itself to streaming. And there are people who pause the Hitman Freelancer not to deal with something in chat, not to go to the bathroom, not to get lunch, not for anything like that. They just pause it because they're just so into the conversation. I'm like, no, kill the Yakuza boss. That's why I'm here. I want to see you kill the Yakuza boss.
I don't watch that many Let's Plays because either like, because sometimes if I want to watch a game, I don't want to hear what the person's saying. I'm interested in the game.
Yeah.
So I would like the person to be silent while they play, especially if it's a game with a lot of like dialogue and cutscenes.
Yeah.
And while Call Me Kevin is funny, like I can only watch that for so long.
Yeah, I think you might like. I know you say you don't watch many, but I think you might like Alpha Beta Gamer, who plays a lot of really small, independent, interesting games and has zero commentary.
Well, I think the thing with Kel is they specifically there are specific games they want to see played. It's not
okay.
about like,
yeah,
I want someone who plays like this. It's more of a, I really want to see someone play this game and
Yeah.
not do
Yeah.
things
I
that
want
distract
to
from the
watch
game.
someone play Resident Evil Village. I don't want to hear their commentary on Resident Evil Village.
Right.
I would like to watch Resident Evil
See,
Village.
and on the flip side for me is like there are very few games I give any kind of shit about. So like, it's really hard for me to have it like. There's no games I kind of want to see. I really want to see the cutscenes. I want to see how this game plays out. I just don't
Yeah.
have
That's
an
why I watch-
investment in any of them.
So the only sort of like Let's Plays I am watching are like super condensed down people explaining their Nuzlocke.
Yeah.
Because I don't need to see them grind for 3 hours.
Right.
And watch their Pokemon die to a random Rattata.
Yeah.
I
And then
I need the highlights reel of that.
Yeah, highlights reels are
Uh,
good.
and I do like Mr. Samuel Streamer
Mm-hmm.
and his RimWorld content.
Because it's
Um,
creative and
I
interesting.
really tried to y'all because y'all recommended him. I gave him a try. I might try again. It was one of those things I started watching, clicked off, and didn't come back.
I think it
Oh.
depends on
The
his campaigns, because he's done campaigns that I thought weren't very interesting, and I
It's not the
didn't.
campaigns. It is
Okay.
the the acting.
Oh.
Okay.
I don't think it's interesting or good or funny. Um, yeah, it's the scripted stuff that makes it go. You're setting off
Mm-hmm.
weird cringe. I hate to say cringe alarms because I
I get it.
I revel in cringe. I am cringe incarnate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Destroy the part of you that cringes.
Yes, that's me. But
Yeah.
for some reason, the scripted parts make my tummy hurt and I leave.
Yeah, I get it. For what it's worth, though,
Um,
like, um, I mean, I get it. Those aren't my favorite parts either. Those aren't my favorite parts either. But as
but anyway, I mentioned that I have a PS5 now, and that has built-in streaming. So it's
Congratulations.
very easy. So I can, as soon as I'm done with Witcher 4, I can stream my other games.
Mhm.
And so I think I might start doing that on Saturday.
Mhm.
Because the reason why I don't have a lot of games sitting on Steam is because I have a Mac, and
Oh,
Yeah.
they don't
yeah,
make
yeah, yeah.
games for Macs.
Yep.
And that's partly intentional because I want my work screen to be different than my goofing off screen.
I absolutely get
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So I'm playing Witcher 4 on my Switch.
Hmm.
And I'm almost done with Witcher 4. I have proven to Siri that I am a good dad.
Yeah.
think-
Go for
Oh, I think my thing with games and which ones I want to play and see play, like, and why I kind of don't care about the game, I care more about the Let's Players, because, like, again, I'm not really interested in story-based games
it. Uh-huh.
personally, because like, if I want to, this sounds dumb, but if I want to consume a story, I'd rather it be in comic form. That's my favorite media for stories, and video games I don't like as much. So
yeah,
unless
I actually, when The Last of Us came out and everyone was praising its writing, I was like, this is not very good because it is a video game trying to be a TV show / movie. I want to actually play a game, not watch a game.
Well, I don't even like to play. Well, that's the thing. It's like, there are games with good stories that are good games. It's just, I kind of don't care. I just don't care, is my problem. The games I like to play are games that aren't good for that kind of stream, because they are games where, like, you playing is who is playing is the most important factor. Like,
Yeah.
you change the game just by your personality. Those are the games I like to play, where it's like I'm having a completely different experience than anyone else who'd play this game just because of what I'm doing in it. That's why I like Minecraft and Wobble Dogs and now RimWorld, and so I like that. That's my crack. Sim Cities, it's like, that's the kind of gaming I enjoy. So when I seek out people playing games, I like people playing those kind of games. Therefore, like, it doesn't matter if they're good, because I just want to see what kind of shit they make.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that.
Yeah. Whereas I like games where there's resource management and you explore. I usually don't go for games where there's a story, but I do like it when there's a little bit of the story.
I mean,
Like, I do like The Witcher 4 because in between story bits you explore and find monsters to kill. And I liked playing Breath of the Wild because that's all like exploration stuff.
I mean, I did play Mass Effect, but again, even with Mass Effect, there's that role-playing element, and also it tapped into that I'm a horny little weirdo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is also like partly why I was like, Last of Us not that good. That's my video game hot take. Is all the things that it was getting praised for writing wise is shit that TV has done forever. So the writing was not that revolutionary, and I think also actively prevented the game from being more enjoyable. And while everyone was blown away by the first Last of Us, people who aren't bigots' complaints, like there are two people that complain about Last of Us 2, bigots, and people who are like, well, they force you into decisions, so it's not really like a moral choice. It's the game doesn't progress unless you do this thing. And so at that point, you become less invested in the story because the story was going to go this way whether you wanted it to go that way or not. So why are you even here as a player? And I am not surprised that Last of Us makes for a good TV show because it was already trying to be a TV show and now it can just be a TV show.
I want to say something super quick.
You're on a timer. Go.
Cal, Amanda, you both know I have dabbled in game dev for a while, and for a long time sitting on my Amanda. My finger is now at my lips. Okay. But yeah, for a long time sitting on my computer has been a twine, and when I mean a long time, I mean years. And it is a twine that has a very strong start, but then I immediately smashed face first into a brick wall. And for folks who are new here, the twine is called God Damn It, Marshall. And it is basically, I've heard it, when I explain it to people, the first thing they usually say is, oh, that makes me think of Run, Lola, Run, which was a movie from back in the day. So if you want context and you're old, there you go. But the idea is you are the partner of a guy named Marshall who is kind of a mess. And Marshall calls you at 3 a.m. and he needs a certain amount of money for bail. And if you do not get that money in 48 hours, Marshall will be dressed in and taken upstairs. And what that basically means is he'll be taken from the jail to long-term stay jail. And they will take his clothes and they will delouse him and they will check him in and he will go into a pod as opposed to a holding cell. And Marshall is the kind of person who he will not last long in prison. He's just kind of a fucking mess. And you know that if he gets taken upstairs to where all the other long-term stay guys are, he will get in trouble somehow and he will just keep catching charges and he will be in prison forever. That's kind of like the setup. You know this about him. It is communicated in text. And what I wanted, Kel, when I was making Goddamn It, Marshall, was for your decisions to matter. And once you start doing that, it kind of becomes an MLM situation where the whole criticism of MLMs is if there's a person who recruits 5 people and each of those people recruit 5 people and each of those people recruit 5 people, by the 20th cycle, you have more than the entire population of Earth. Like that level of shit.
Yeah.
And once you start branching dialogue, it's incredibly easy for things to get completely out of fucking hand.
That's why you do charts.
Yes.
And I absolutely understand it when people like the big criticism for Telltale Games before it went under and the big criticism for things like Fallout 4 is like, oh, well, shit, you do something and then it doesn't matter. And I'm like, I fucking get why their eyes glazed over and they backed away from it, like making this instant change, mandatory change, permanent, like, oh, now this person hates you. Well, what does that mean? Well, all this shit over here is gated off and you need to consider all that going forward. And that's not a big deal if it's one decision. But when that one decision becomes 5 different decisions that now get to be made, and those each become their own decisions.
But
That's
so-
why you
okay,
work
so
backwards from.
Yeah.
That's why you
Well,
work backwards.
So let's compare something like Fallout
Yeah.
to Last of Us.
Yeah.
Fallout has more wiggle room in the character. Like, the big plot events happen regardless of what you do, but you can still side with the Legion in Fallout New Vegas or side with the California Republic guys, or you
Or
can go your own way.
you can kill
Um,
Dr. House and take over New Vegas like I did, yes.
yeah, yeah. So you could do, or you could do that. So those are at least options. And while the same big picture, like there's variety there.
Mhm.
Whereas Last of Us, you always have to make the same decisions because it is a story about
Mhm.
getting Ellie to the hospital in Seattle
Just
and
so
then
we're
murdering
clear,
the.
just so we're clear,
Yeah.
everyone, like, the season finale has happened, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, so he has doomed humanity.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
yeah, all right, just
So-
making
so
sure
the
that
whole
we're not
thing-
spoiling anything.
Yeah. So the
I
thing
mean,
is,
you're always gonna spoil it for somebody.
the
Yeah.
movie. So the game is you're always going to bond with Ellie and get her to Seattle and then kill all the doctors in Seattle.
Yeah.
And nothing you do changes Joel's character very drastically one way or the other. Nothing you do changes Ellie's character one way or the other. You can't decide to not doom humanity.
Yeah.
That's that. I always hated that. That it
In-
was treated as a lose condition.
Well, I think it's Wanjuri in the chat points out, from the games with branching that I've enjoyed, I find it's often not the massive amount of paths that do the trick. It's a reasonable amount of paths and with well disguised smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Like, I think, because we were talking about this when we were talking about other games too, where you had like branching paths and results. I think it's about knowing all your conclusions first and working backwards from there, so you don't end up. So like, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. You know where all the branches lead, so you can redirect them.
But so like a game where I think the writing is actually good, like, and your decisions do have some vague way of mattering, is Disco Elysium as a comparison. The murder has already happened. There is only one solution for who is the killer.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is the friends you make along the way.
All right. I have been playing Disco Elysium, and I'm very early in the game. I am currently at the part where one of the things I appreciate about it is it's not trying to be a movie at all. And there's this whole bit where when you are on the phone with a witness, it gives you this option to like really gross flirt with her. Not like, like explicit, but just like, oh God, slimy dude is coming on to me. Ugh, like that level. And you are the slimy dude. And I initially go, no, let's keep on track. And I selected no. And then this voice came up in the game and went, are you sure? It's a really good subplot.
Yeah.
Fine, okay.
Um,
and I took it because the game was like, no, you'll like it, I promise. It's the first time the game has done that to me.
And so I feel like Disco Elysium is a better game writing wise compared to Last of Us because Disco Elysium is not trying to be a movie.
It's very much its own thing.
I want to get back. I was working on like a dating sim visual novel thingy, and I want to get back to it. And how I'm not good. I don't understand lots of things, but the solution that made my brain happy was I just had point systems for everything, and just every character had its own designated. This is a C point. This is an A point, and you could only get certain things if you had enough points.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really helping my brain. Just like, no. You earn points by certain interactions, and when you have enough, like I guarantee, like I had, since I already knew all the conclusions, I already knew exactly how many points to get this and that and this. So it was very easy to decide what was worth how many points. That made my brain happy. And I have this one.
Excuse me, I had to
finish
sniff
your thing.
really
Oh, I
bad.
was just saying, I had this one idea that I really liked, and this is why I want to come back to it, but there's one character, you don't necessarily have to date them. But if you want to date one of the characters, you have to be nice to that character because they're friends. So even if they're not the one you're aiming to date, you have the option to be mean to them, and that will lock out one of the other girls.
Yeah.
So there's a special point system in there, like if you earn 1 point, you cannot romance this one chick. because you were mean to her friend.
No, that's adorable.
I but like so as far as everyone talking about good writing in games, the one game with quote unquote good writing that like I was like, oh, I actually want to play this game now, is Pathologic, H Bomber Guy's thing.
Is that the thing where everyone tells you to not play it?
So everyone tells you not to play the first one because Pathologic 2 is basically the developers being like, okay, so we redid the game.
Yeah.
And now it's better.
Yeah.
And so, because a lot of people complained about the fact that it's a game where you're on a time limit, but you can't run anywhere. And so, the Pathologic 2, they added, okay, you can run, but now you have a thirst meter, and your thirst meter goes down drastically if you run. Like, so they put in the thing people wanted, but also added a new thing to keep track of. That is an example of like they're trying to make a point with how much you're suffering in the game. So like all the game mechanics and the writing are like working toward that purpose of like how shitty it is to be in a pandemic. And
See,
so like that's one of the games I'm gonna get on the PS5 when I'm done with Disco Elysium and Witcher 4.
see, I like his video about that because I can already I really like his video because I'm more interested in what he has to say about it, because after he broke it down I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I would hate this game.
It's honestly super fun. Oh my god, it's like the
no,
flavor
me
of
personally,
flavor.
Spike, this
Yeah.
game would piss me off and make me miserable. You know me, you know
have
my
you ever watched a
predilections.
Let's play of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Hate
so-
it. Didn't
oh,
enjoy it. I liked the breakdown of it. I liked the analysis of it. He was the entertaining part of that video for me. I was like, I love this. I would not touch this game with a 10-foot pole.
I'm super.
I also to go back to Last of Us's writing is not as good as people say it is. I did like an H-Bomb's New Vegas video where he was like, whereas some games are still like, oh, was it bad to kill someone with a knife?
Man, I want to get back to... I need to finish New Vegas. I'm a one game at a time person, and I fell off, and I miss my robot wife.
Oh. Yeah,
Dr. Dalla, I think.
Well, I've been playing Disco Elysium Influent, which is a game which is just a vocabulary builder for foreign languages. So I've been playing that pretty regularly. I think I've been playing that more than anything lately. And Disco Elysium, Stone Shard, and Influent. And Stone Shard is one of those games, maybe y'all can relate, like, you ever find a game and you really want to like it, but when you're playing it, you kind of brush up against a part of it that's a bit of a deal breaker. That's kind of what Stone Shard is for me. It's a really cute pixel art, kind of hardcore roguelike thing where you go on missions, and it's this fantasy world that has a unique take on a lot of things. Like, they have elves, but the elves aren't just people with pointy ears. They're blue, and they have their own language and their own motivation. It's really fun. And they aren't just people better and pointier. It's like they're interesting. And you are in charge of like trying to save this caravan. It's kind of merciless in that it'll fuck you up.
There's also
an area that
that's
is
the thing.
level than you.
I don't like getting fucked up. I don't like games making me feel fucked up.
And it's really pretty and it's really interesting and I really want to like it, but after a certain point, and this may be a factor of it still being in development after all these years, but a grind sets in, and I can't fucking deal with it. I can't fucking deal with the grind.
Another game I want to check out is I think it's called Tunic. It looks like an old school Zelda game, you're a little fox character.
Mhm.
But what's unique about it is there is no written um, tutorials or instructions or anything in the game.
Remember that,
Everything is
everyone?
conveyed via pictures, and as you explore the world, you get instructions that are all picture based, telling you how the mechanics work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of interested in like them not using any text at all side of things.
Did y'all do
Um,
the Next Fest on Steam?
No.
Oh, I think the games are still available as demos. I think Amanda, you would like Lakeburg Legacies.
Okay, I'm looking it up.
It's basically where you found a village by playing matchmaker to people, and you have to make sure they're good matches so they'll have children and live
Ah,
happily.
okay.
But like they're stupid assholes, so they keep cheating on each other
I love
and
stupid assholes.
ruining their families.
Okay.
It fucking
The
sucks.
there's a game I kind of when I get my fill of wobble dogs, and then I what's it uh get my fill of Rimworld. I really want to get a game called Potionomics.
Oh, okay.
It's a store management card battle dating sim game.
I'm gonna
And
look
it's
for Potionomics.
extremely cute. Like,
Oh, it is cute.
yeah, the animation's really good. It's got like a blend of, it's got 2D animation, it's got 3D animation, it's got like static art, but also like animations. It is like the dating options are all very good.
Oh, and look at this. I'm assuming this is a dryad of some sort here.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
this is,
all the dating ads, the dating options are mwah, very good.
yeah.
There's a giant walrus man who is very nice.
Oh.
And lots of cool characters. Very nice, very queer. I again, it like I think this. Yeah, oh yeah, Potionomics like understood the assignment when it was like
I'm gonna
a
put
bunch of witches you
in,
can date.
Mhm.
I'm gonna put in the chat an image that friend of the show, Furious Sterling, sent
Furious.
me. Furious's cat seems to really like my icon on the Geek
Road
Show.
Warden. One jury is saying
Oh,
Road
are they
Warden.
smacking at you? Yeah, get him,
Yeah.
get
Let
him,
me see.
Gremlin. Look at that
Road
precarious the books it's sitting on. I hope you topple, you little gremlin.
Warden. What are you, Road Warden? What are you
I
like?
love that little goblin cat. What a good cat.
Oh, what? You know what the vibe of Road Warden makes me think of one? It makes me think of Neo Scavenger. Wow, overwhelmingly positive reviews. I might have to grab this. You know what? Let
Oh,
me just get the demo.
the other one I wanted to check out is I think Forbidden Kingdom or Lost Kingdom. It
Mhm.
started as a Skyrim mod.
Oh, I love it when that
And
shit happens. I love it.
but basically, Spike, it's the plot is you are time traveled to an ancient Roman city, um,
Mhm.
and the city is cursed that if one person, quote unquote, sins, um, everyone in the city gets turned to gold.
Oh.
Okay.
And you are trapped in a time loop that is the last day that this city existed.
Oh.
So you can intentionally, quote unquote, sin to figure out what the sins are.
Mhm.
Because the thing is no one in the town is really clear what counts as a sin and what doesn't. Because
Mhm.
obviously none of them have broken any of
Oh,
these
Lakeburg
rules, or they'd
Legacies
all be
isn't
gold.
out yet. Okay.
Yeah, you can get a
Uh,
free demo though. That it's like an hour of gameplay. It's super
Oh,
fun.
neat.
so yeah, so and it's like an exploration of morality via a puzzle game. What is and isn't a sin? Um, and they do address
Mhm.
the fact that you are a modern person who has now been plopped into ancient Rome. So ancient Rome has different thoughts on what is moral compared to you as a modern day individual.
Yeah.
Um, so that you can like talk to different characters about like disagreeing with Roman law, and
Mhm.
there is some shit that is definitely unethical that they are doing.
For sure.
Um, that seems to be okay as far as the curse is concerned.
Mhm.
And yeah, so it's a interesting game that I want to fully explore. I've seen people play the beginning of it, and because I'm a cheater, I looked up spoilers.
Oh.
So
Well, some people like
I
spoilers.
I like
Me
spoilers.
too. They sometimes
Yeah.
motivate me more to do something. Like, oh shit, I want to know how you get to that point.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it'll be
Um,
like, this is how it starts. By the way, this happens. And I'm like, how? How? I have to know how you go from point A
Yeah.
to point B.
Whereas like ages and ages ago when Disco Elysium first came out, I started watching a let's play of it and I stopped watching the let's play of it about 15 minutes in because I'm like, no, you know what? I want to play this. And
Mhm.
I just like turned it off.
That's why I did not spoil what the actual sins are.
Yeah.
Because I figure it is a thing that you might also like to play, Spike.
Okay.
We're
And it's
talking.
called what again now?
It's either Forgotten City or Forgotten Realm or something like
Let's
that.
just go to Steam and look up Forgotten and see what pops up.
We're talking about games. Are we allowed to talk about the thing we're doing?
No.
Okay.
Well, here's something called the Forgotten City.
That was so sudden.
Yeah, well, please
Yes,
don't.
I won't.
Okay, this is definitely it because I'm seeing statues of people made of gold.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add to wish list just to do it. Oh shit, it's 45% off. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and it must be made in China.
No, it's not, because it's the mod person um is European and had access to a Roman history expert, like
Oh, okay.
university level historian.
Well,
to help with.
he already gets points. I'm seeing a black woman in Forgotten City, which I appreciate. So
Because the thing is they're acknowledging there were other nations that Rome interacted with.
Rome is on the Mediterranean. Africa is
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, basically.
So it's like, yeah, that's kind of one of my things. One of my things is
Yeah,
that the Roman Empire as monoracial, which is bizarre and patently incorrect. So
Yeah. There's a British guy that in the game that the higher ups treat like shit because he's a filthy Celt. And I appreciated that detail.
yeah, well, the Celts gave the Romans a lot of trouble, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Nay Badger, no, I cannot. I'm sorry,
I mean, I can. Badger's my friend.
Amanda, you cannot.
What do you mean I can't talk to my friends about the things I do?
Amanda, please.
Why can't I talk to my friends?
Amanda, I will stab you.
Why? No, what? This isn't. They're not gonna tell
Amanda.
nobody. Okay, when we end, we're gonna have a conversation. I didn't mean right now. I mean in private.
Okay, all right, just okay.
I didn't mean right now. I meant privately among my friends.
Okay, all right, it's just okay.
Okay, no, when we're done.
Friendier.
No, when we're done. Yes, violence. Violence.
Speaking of which, it is 10 p.m. and I'm hungry as shit.
You can't go.
Yes, I can.
You have to wait.
I can absolutely go.
You gotta.
actually.
No, you. Once we hang up, we gotta talk.
Okay, everybody.
Violence.
Unless.
Real quick before we go.
Yes.
There is a RimWorld mod called Animal Genetics.
Uh-huh.
And what it does is it gives every animal that you encounter different stats for different traits.
Yeah.
You can breed your cows to give more milk or have more meat.
Yeah.
And I definitely fell down a breeding rabbit hole to try to make the perfect cow for my RimWorld colony in the game that I'm playing now.
Spewing milk everywhere.
No, like
A milk
the most
fountain.
meat, the most milk, the most leather when we eventually kill it.
Eventually. Yeah.
You just like
Yeah.
nick it and it explodes in a shower of
Exactly.
meat.
Explodes in literal fucking tenderloins. Just
High
everywhere.
pressure cow.
Just falling like rain.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like to close it up here.
Okay.
If I went with y'all. Okay,
Yes.
everyone, thank you. Please like and subscribe. It's important and it matters. You can find me on Twitter at iron_spike. However, you can find me on co-host and you can find me on Pillow Fort as Iron Spike, all one word. You can also find me on Spoutable as Iron Spike, all one word, in case anyone is still using that. Co-host features my comic Ordinary, which is about a monster who is a friend with another monster. It updates incredibly sporadically. My Pillow Fort features a comic called Blacada. It updates even more sporadically, but I work very hard on them and I'm very proud of them and I hope you read them. I run Iron Circus Comics. It's at ironcircus.com. Please subscribe to our newsletter. We appreciate your support, and small publishers need your support more than ever these days and in these years, this environment of media dominance. You have to fund the art you want to see in the world, and I hope you want to see our art.
My name's Kel. You can find all my shit at kelmcdonald.com. You can read my comic about gay werewolves in the future on there. I'm on a bunch of social medias, too many. And I have a Patreon at patreon.com/kelmcdonald, where you can read my other comic about 23 kids that got the same prophecy dream telling them they're the chosen one. I also stream on Twitch every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays at twitch.tv/kelmcdonald. Check me out there.
I'm Amanda. As per usual, my link is in the description. It links to my other things, which further link to my other things. It's a
Okay.
chain of links. Goodbye.
Thank you, everybody, and please tune in Sunday so you can watch me and my husband Matt play Vintage Story. It's a fun game that's kind of like if Minecraft were really, really mean. I burned the house down. We're better now, though.
I mean, that happens in Minecraft too.